Hello, welcome. My name is Rachel, and I am an intuitive healer. Today, I want to pose an interesting question, and that is, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of coming to this planet yet again? Because keep in mind, this is very likely not your first time around, not your first rodeo here embodied on this planet. What is the purpose of coming yet again and experiencing hardship or struggle or loss or difficulty, or perhaps even things like abuse or abandonment, or even perhaps even war or something that is really, really difficult? So, what would be the purpose of this? This is the question that was posed to me by somebody, and it was really interesting what we got when we tuned in. In one sentence, the purpose of us coming to this planet as lights, as souls embodied, is to explore consciousness. So what does this look like? On this human planet, in this earth realm, there is a significant amount, we're going to speak of energy, a significant amount of collective energy that is unconscious, that has these old patterns of suffering and hardship and struggle. And so when we come in, we go into that and we explore it, not so that we can drag ourselves through the muck, but we go into it so that we can witness it, experience it, see it, and find those pockets of light so that we can open it. So that we can find those pockets of consciousness and open them. So by doing this, so actually before I go further, I want to say, think about a person who went through a very difficult childhood, or very difficult things happened. We all know these people. That would be an example of a person coming in, going into the unconscious. And by unconscious, we mean any belief in separation from source, any belief in separation from source that was either experienced in childhood, experienced by the parents and therefore by the child, or in adult years. So in the ego, in the pain, in the feeling of helplessness, in the suffering and the struggle. So a separation, a belief of separation from the fact that we are source, that we are essence, that we are power, that we are light. So we come in, we explore, go through, experience this hardship, and then we find these pockets of light. And this is consciousness, and we begin to expand consciousness. Now, here's where the purpose is. When we expand the consciousness, open the light. How do we do that? By raising our frequency, by growing more, by becoming more compassionate, by opening our hearts, by perhaps learning spiritual modalities or learning about faith, but really about experiencing, right? Not learning here in the head. We expand this light, this consciousness, by seeing it more. We focus on it. Now we begin to realize, wait, we are the light by awakening to our own divinity. So we expand this consciousness, and now it begins to expand more and more on its own. And eventually it gets so big, and the collective that is practicing this light gets so big that it ends up wrapping around the planet and begins to heal some of the old programs and traumas that have kept the humanity dumbed down, diminished, suffering. So the light wraps around, and we begin to shake things up so that can be released, those old programs of suffering. Now, from a personal perspective, the more we focus on expansion, the more we focus on expanding consciousness, expanding ourselves to be the light that we are. When we focus on this, this light that is essence, that is us, that is higher consciousness, begins to come into those old programs within us, perhaps betrayal, beliefs of unworthiness, I'm not good enough, feelings of abandonment. Maybe, in the past, you always dated somebody who was emotionally unavailable and that never worked out. These programs, patterns playing out. We've all experienced those. When we focus on the expansion of being the light that we are, that eventually seeps into these old energetic programs and beliefs, and that begins to fall away. So I could say we release them, we could say it that way, or that these old patterns and programs begin to fall away. They begin to flush out. And this is not just from this lifetime. This is the fascinating thing, is the purpose of us coming here is actually to shift what has been held on this planet for so long, so long, and all of these lifetimes that we have experienced. So it's not just about flushing out these old programs and the belief in separation and the unconscious and the suffering and the struggle from this lifetime. We actually impact it from many lifetimes. It's like a big whoosh, like a big flush, but we have to focus on expanding consciousness. That is the purpose. We come in, we go through the suffering, the struggle, we explore the unconscious, right? That's what we think about, perhaps even your childhood or a childhood of somebody you love. Some of us as children very much explored the unconscious, right? Being in a home, perhaps with abuse or abandonment or alcoholism or violence or all kinds of things, or perhaps being in a school system where there was suffering and violence or whatever it was, or just being on this planet, because if you look out on the planet, you see it too, the unconscious. So we go through it to explore it, but not so that we can get stuck there. That is not the purpose, to be like, oh God, yet more struggling, yet more suffering. When is this ever going to end? When is life ever going to get easier? Why is it always like this? Why is everything so hard? Because all that's doing is keeping it in that same vibration. Because now we're the victim. And if we're the victim, that's where we're going to be stuck. So instead, it is to focus on what I'm calling the pocket of light, the consciousness, expansion. So how do we do that? We find ways that we feel good. We tap into our joy. We meditate. We walk in nature. We meet with like-minded people who speak of perhaps things that lift us up. And if we keep focusing on that, that is what eventually will help us release what has been stuck within us and what has been holding down humanity, suffocating humanity. So that is what we picked up on with the simple question, what the heck is the purpose? If you'd like support with emotional healing or getting unstuck or receiving clarity on direction, relationships, or purpose in your life, please reach out. You can find me on my website, rachelshonecker.com. Thank you.